everybody, welcome to Vlog 110. It's me, Jaime, the shut-in cartoonist musician, laying back here, vlogcasting from the Corn Tortilla Press World Headquarters, which floats off the Oakland coast. It's called Alameda, just in case you're wondering. On my umpteenth cup of water because it's later in the day. I already did my coffee and breakfast this morning and began reading a book and then flipping through a magazine real quick and then back to the book. And I thought, okay, oh no, the newspaper too. There's the Alameda Sun I like to read. And then I got on the computer and started researching some stuff and just went down the rabbit hole, man, and just kept reading and reading and reading until here we are. So, drinking my water. Today, we're going to talk about, just hopefully briefly, since I've already used up about a minute of your life. Excuse me. Talk about some of the gear that I use while cartooning. I'm not going to talk about what it's used for. I was just noticing yesterday, as I was drawing, which I will do later today, how old this stuff is and how it's been with me through several towns and areas and, you know, eras, and it's just traveled with me. I've been a cartoonist a long time, so from aspiring cartoonist to published cartoonist to kind of big to where I'm at now. But stick with something long enough, right? So they say. Anyway, first thing I like to bring up, I used to work at a design firm in San Francisco when I also lived there. And I was a single guy, young guy in my 20s. And let's say I worked there from like late 1988 till early 1992. And my job there, the design firms was, I won't mention names or anything, it was packaging design is what we did. And my job is, I was kind of like, if you know baseball, I was kind of like the utility infielder. Now, I've never done design before at that point, but, you know, I was still drawing comics and I had a good eye and I learned fast. And it was still along the same, you know, world that I was familiar with, which is, you know, art supplies and art. So I was in charge of the supplies of all of our inventory because we use lots of different papers and inks and pens and brushes and triangle, you name it. And I also did the photostatting, I did the chromateching, and I would also help out with mechanicals, the actual layouts of the boxes or God knows whatever we were designing that month. And I ordered back in, this is like 89, I ordered, maybe it was 90. No, it's probably 89. I ordered some more expensive supplies. The head designer kicked down, said, yeah, we need this, this, and this. I said, sure, no problem. And one of them was this, I'm trying to find the front of this here, was the Staedtler precision ruler, which was designed by a Japanese designer, and it's super accurate and great. It's just, and they gave us one extra one. Now you could say I stole this. We had one extra one we didn't pay for. It just was in the, you know, they had it in the packaging and they're all just paper thin. So I saw the third one. I remember, oh no, the fourth one. I think, no, third. We ordered 3 or 2 and I saw the third one. And I thought, oh, that ain't right. And I looked at the invoice again. I go, oh, we didn't get charged for this. And they were like $25 back then. So I'm confessing now, you know, almost 30 years later, over 30 years later, yoink, I took it. So, like I said, nobody bought it. So no skin off anyone's nose. So, and I use it every day. This thing has been invaluable. Another thing I had from back then, I didn't steal this either though. This was, because it had nothing to do with that. When I started there in 1988, they had those, for those of you that know old art supplies, they had those big rolling white boxes made by Koh-i-Noor that were supply boxes. You know, the drawers opened out on the sides. It was like real, you know, Logan's Run kind of hip looking. And you just put your supplies in there and whatnot. And in them, you know, we had some stocks of pencils and erasers and whatever. But we also had a box of 611, number 611 X-Acto blades, because we trim out a lot of stuff, a lot of paper. And the first, you know, I had a box of blades in there about, you know, 3/4 filled. So I was using those. And then what I would do is the blade would get used. When this box was empty, it was my first box, I'd throw them in there just to save them for when it filled up, and then I would dispose of them properly as we were supposed to do back then, and we did. And I kept the box, you know. So it was basically going to get thrown out, but it was just a little cardboard box. And I still have it to this day. I've had this thing over 30 years. And you can hear it still has blades in there, used blades. And so not to tell too much of my personal history, but being a diabetic and I shoot insulin, when this fills up, I put them in my Sharps box. So, but anyway, that's where they go. And yeah, so I've had this thing. This thing's traveled with me everywhere. And finally, I've got some older stuff that I use. I went to community college the first time in late 1980 in Sacramento, but in South Sacramento, Cosumnes River College. And so I met one of my dearest friends of all time, Francis Kohler, Francis Kohler. And yeah, the rest is history, but he's quite an artist. And he was in a bunch of drawing classes there, and he talked me into taking one, which I wasn't in with him. But I took the only drawing class I've ever taken in college, and you needed equipment. And the three things I needed was a pen, like a good art pen, a triangle, and a T-square. I remember I bought my first Koh-i-Noor pen. I had it for years. It finally blew up somewhere in the mid to late 80s. I remember it blew up while I was in the middle of making a flyer for a punk show. I had to finish it with a little skinny felt pen. I was really pissed about that too, because they weren't cheap back then. But back though, when I was in that college, I bought this T-square. Yes, I still have the frickin' thing. And I bought this triangle. I still have that too. And I bought them, all three of those items I bought from Taylor's Art Supply, which I think was on J Street in Midtown in Sacramento. And I remember going by there because I had a car back then. I had a truck now, but it's back when I was 19 maybe. I went by the shop to look at pens. And then later I remember having to get these. And I had a job, so you know, I took the money, and I remember I didn't have enough money. I was afraid I didn't have enough. I remember borrowing $5 from my mom, which I paid her back. And I'm glad I did, because the tax and everything, I was just like, I think I brought her back like $3. But I made it right to the wire. So I've had these, and all of this stuff, as I said, every comic book you see me with or draw, with the exception of a few, like the Los Punkers, which I drew. You know, I might have used the triangle. I didn't use the T-square, but most of this equipment I've used on everything I've drawn, from illustration kids, comics, anything. I've always used this gear. It's still with me. So let's see how many more years it will be with me. I guess it all depends on how many years I'm going to be with us. So it always comes down to that. All right, kids. There you go. I know it's kind of boring, but why not? I find shit like that fascinating. I mean, people tell me about certain gear they had. If they don't go too far into it, like I hope I didn't, I'm always interested, because I love history and I love stories. So there it is. So if you got to go out today, don't forget to mask up. Don't forget to wash your hands and sanitize them frequently. Keep a good distance from people, and be sure to be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Don't forget to subscribe down below. I'll put the website down there too, just in case you're interested. I'm about to go over there, but first I'm going to go downstairs, have lunch, then I'm going to go back and draw. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.